So this is the first film by Studio Ghibli, which was started by members of Studio Ghibli. Now, does this mean that Studio Ghibli is the heir to the legacy of Miyazaki? Well, let's talk about the film before we get to that. Mary and the Witch's Flower has an amazing opening prologue. It's intense, the music is beautiful, the animation is breathtaking, and you're immediately drawn into the story. The character design of the character that we first see is just so fascinating. You instantly connect with her as she's running away from these terrible events that are happening. And then you cut to the beginning of the film with a character who happens to look very similar to the original character, but you realize pretty quickly is not the same character. And this results in a very slow beginning of the film. There's just not a lot that happens in the beginning of the film, and if it weren't for that amazing intro, I would have totally lost interest. However, one of the things that does stay is the amazing music and the amazing animation continue to stay. I would say this is one thing that they take from Studio Ghibli. The art is amazing throughout this entire film. Once you get past that slow burn, though, things start to pick up a little bit. As we get into the film, though, it picks up a little bit, and we enter into this world of magic and mystery, and we're just thrown into all of it, along with the main character, who also doesn't really know much about it, so we're largely on equal standing with her. I don't want to spoil too much about it, so I won't go into great detail, but the end of the film is pretty good, I would say. It's nothing that's spectacular or never been done before, but it's very solid. What I would say about Mary and the Witch's Flower is that it is a pure distilling of the hero's journey. You hit all the beats of a hero's journey, and it's just very neatly and expertly executed. What I really enjoyed about it is how pure its telling of the hero's journey is. I know that it's a very worn concept, but this film shows that it still has relevance, I think. Now, what parts of this film were maybe not the best? What may have not been the best, one thing is the voice acting of the main character. Now, I understand that she is a very young actress, and this is actually the second credit that she has, along with being the lead actress of The Big Friendly Giant, which I did not happen to see last year. She was trying really hard, and I don't know if it was her or if it was the direction, but it was a little weak at times. I think as it went on, it got a little bit better, but especially in the beginning, it just didn't hold me very well. But I think it did have that issue of just so much talking, and there wasn't a whole lot of showing. Or worse, they would show and then talk. You know, that sort of thing where you see something happens and then the character's like, oh, this thing happened. However, I want to go back to the presentation of this film, and it is gorgeous. The animation is some of the best out there. You could definitely tell that these people had been working on Studio Ghibli films in the past. They're just so beautifully constructed, and every scene is like a painting. The music is amazing as well. I bought a couple of songs from the soundtrack, and I've been listening to them almost every single day for about 2 weeks now. One of the main issues I have about this, though, is there's a lot that's overlooked in the film's story. What do I mean by that? Without getting into spoilers too much, there's a lot of moments where things get very morally gray, or there's the opportunity for them to get morally gray. But I feel like they were trying so hard to make this a kids movie that they didn't really feel that they could explore those concepts as much as they maybe would have if it wasn't geared towards kids. I'd really like to see the studio in the future explore these moral ambiguity moments more in the future. In particular, there's a scene where in the past we've seen experimentation had been done, some experiments that were really bad and that had basically been decided were bad ideas. And then we find a notebook from another character that shows that they had been involved in the original version of these experiments. And that then really and then that leads to nothing. It wasn't brought up again, and it wasn't discussed, and that was a little disappointing to me, because when I saw that, I was like, big moment! But then it just resulted in nothing, really. So I was a little disappointed by that. I hope that they feel free to explore those ideas in their next film that they do. So what would I rate this movie? Well, so what would I rate it for a viewing? Well, if you've got kids, and if you're a big Miyazaki fan, I would probably rate this a see it in theater. However, I also know that it is a fairly limited release, so I wouldn't stress over it. I would make sure that you see it at some point in the future if you can't see it in theaters. I hope you enjoyed my review. If you did, why don't you subscribe so that you can keep up with all the reviews that we'll be putting out. What did you think of The Witch's Flower if you've had the chance to see it? You can write that down below in the comments and leave suggestions for other films that you'd like me to review or anything else that you'd like me to try out here on this channel. And if you really like this video, why don't you give it a like or share it with friends or family? That would help a lot if you would do that. And I'll see you in the next video.